Hi there, my name is Annette Lawless, and I am an investigative reporter for KWCH, a member of our Fact Finder 12 investigative unit. And most recently, we've seen some really troubling stories of domestic violence, people who have fallen victim to that, some people even dying from these incidents in Kansas and beyond. So our team wanted to craft some things that were pretty thoughtful, as we do with our everyday storytelling, but looking into the issue of domestic violence. And so I reached out to Amanda Myers. She is with the Wichita Family Crisis Center, an advocacy group, a shelter that helps women and families right here in our community. She's seen a lot through her times. Through the years, she acts as executive director for the Wichita Family Crisis Center, and she offers her thought, her insight onto everything. I spoke with her very early this month at the start of Domestic Violence Awareness Month here in 2025, and she offers her comments about what she's seeing, the trends that are going on at the shelter, and how she wants to help guide people with finding resources and to never lose hope. Internal. Okay, so Amanda, today, so just to give you background of what I'm doing. So it's kind of like, we've seen I feel like a number of like DV cases lately in the community, and we're just like, oh gosh, we thought it would be good to tell a story about, whatever, navigate people through resources, that sort of thing. Just yesterday, and the part of the piece that I'm doing is I'm talking to a sister who's, this woman whose sister passed away after domestic violence a handful of years ago, and just telling her sister's story and everything, because to kind of just bring it home to people, because I feel like we can talk numbers all day, but like it doesn't mean anything to people until they see a face or whatever, which sucks. But but I want to bring people into what you guys do here and just the beautiful work and what you guys can do to help people in really bad situations. So tell me a bit about the center and everything, what you all provide.
Right. So we provide crisis counseling, shelter, and advocacy to victims of domestic violence. So obviously we provide safe and confidential shelter to people who are fleeing domestic violence, but we're so much more than that. So we want to make sure that if someone is fleeing domestic violence, they get every resource they need, from court advocacy to classes and support groups to medical advocacy, just anything that they may need, one-on-one help, some help finding a job, or even help finding permanent housing, all the different aspects of leaving their abuser permanently. So we're here for them in this community.
And do you see, walk me through what it's like here throughout the year for you. Do you see a lot of people coming in and out and everything? Like, what's it like here at the center?
Yeah, so, just because, to your point, we feel like we've been seeing an increase. I went and just pulled some numbers over the past couple of months.
Yeah.
And comparing, August 2024 to August 2025, we saw a 160% increase in the number of people staying at our shelter. And similar numbers of children, like over 100% increase in the number of children that are staying in our shelter. So, we're not missing this. This is not our imagination. These are real numbers. And these numbers, we're not surprised. Like this is really what we're seeing, that the numbers of domestic violence incidents are increasing, and there are more and more people that are seeking our help. And we're really busy and we're really full.
Yeah. Is it really challenging to meet that demand? Are you having to turn a lot of people away, that sort of thing?
It is really challenging to meet that demand. We never turn anyone away because we would never want anyone to have to return to abuse or have their life in danger. But what we end up doing is, trying to find another shelter in the area that will take them, perhaps trying to find a relative that's outside the area that maybe we can bus them or even find a plane ticket to take them to, or, just maybe a hotel room where they can stay. But it's kind of a scramble if we don't have room here to find them a place. And as you know, we recently tripled our capacity a couple of years ago. So I was hoping we would, have too much room, but that hasn't been the case.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I know.
What's it like for you? Because you've been here I feel like I've talked to you for so many years, which is, a good thing, but a bad thing, but a good thing. You come in here, you have a big load with your daily work here. It's got to be tough too for you.
I think this has been a tough week. So we lost 2 community members. We lost a police officer, and we work very closely with law enforcement. They are a huge support to us. We couldn't do it without them. They couldn't do it without us, and that is a huge loss to our community. And then we lost one of our own. Someone who was incredibly close to members of our team, and so we've been mourning that loss personally. And then it's the start of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So this Saturday, we are going to do, a Purple Mile memorial walk. Yeah. So it is just it's a week of thinking about what we've lost to domestic violence, and it's been hard.
When we share this story, I want people to be aware of what you all could do to help and assist them and everything. But do you feel like there are a number of resources for people, or do you think, I don't know, like when I look at this and like talking to the sister of a woman who lost her sister in a domestic violence situation, I don't know. I feel like there are resources. There are enough resources. I don't know how you feel about that, with how everything is with our community. Are people who are in that situation seeking them? Like, how can we help those people?
I think there are a couple different issues. First of all, I think that people don't realize how quickly things escalate.
Yeah.
So with some of the issues or some of the situations that we've seen most recently that resulted, unfortunately and horribly, in homicide, things went from bad to the absolute worst very quickly. And that is a reminder to us that, it could be a bad situation that can turn horrific fast. And so, if you think things could be bad, if you suspect that this guy could be a jerk, he could be a murderous jerk. It's time to do something. It's time to have a phone call. It's time to have a conversation. And then the other thing that we need to have a conversation about is safe and stable, affordable housing in this community. And by affordable, I mean affordable for everyone. Because the reason that we can't move people out of our shelter is that they can't find a place to live permanently, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's a crisis that we talk about in this community a lot. And so if people don't move out of our shelter, then there's no room for new people. So those are kind of the 2 issues that I struggle with, that make me sad in this situation.
Yeah, it's so horrible. And I feel like, because I have spoken to you so many times through the years, I feel like every time I ask you, are the numbers better? Are they worse this year? Are they worse? Will things ever get better? Is the thing that I'm constantly thinking about.
When I question whether things get better, I think about the young people in our community. So I think about our youth advisory council who are talking to their peers about their relationships. And I think, okay, it's going to, at least the next generation is talking about these things where we didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Conversation.
Like by the time, people are entering shelter, unfortunately, the ship has left the dock, or whatever analogy you'd like to use. Hopefully, though, these young people who are talking to each other about the red flags at this point, in early teenage years, will prevent the kind of escalation that we're seeing, at our age, after, it is escalated to horrific physical violence. So that's the hope. The hope is the next generation.
Yeah. Is there anything, like if someone, they have a loved one who may be in this situation, or maybe they're just like wondering like, oh, is their life okay or whatever? Are there warning signs and stuff like that family members, friends can look out for? What are those things?
So I would say the warning signs are the beginning signs of controlling behavior. So, we'll just use, is he, because just generally we tend to see this in romantic relationships. Yeah. Is he, controlling what she wears, where she goes, her social media, her phone? Does he have the code to her phone? Is he watching who she calls, where she goes? I was just talking to a woman the other day, and if she spent too much time at the grocery store, for example, he would say, were you seeing a man? Are you doing, he was questioning her behavior. And those sorts of things are red flags. Monitoring what, the length of her skirts or her attire, those sorts of things. It's when to start to have a conversation. Also, if he's monitoring her spending, if he is controlling how she spends her money, her debt, we see a lot of coerced debt. Before it becomes physical violence, it can be financial, emotional, isolating you from your family members. And it's time to just maybe start having a conversation. Family members can call our hotline and start safety planning. It doesn't have to be the victim themselves.
Yeah, that's nice, because I think we want to empower people with this, let them know like there are things that you can do. And I know it's so sensitive, everyone wants to handle it best, to not escalate a situation, and also to keep that relationship going.
I know.
That's tough, because you might if it's your sibling or something, like in the case of this woman I've been speaking with, she's like, that kind of burned a bridge with her sister when she started speaking up, because her sister was isolating herself and, just doing all these things. She's just wanting her to help her sister out, and her sister didn't want to hear it. And I'm like, this is so heartbreaking to hear, but I'm sure it's so common.
It is. It sort of reminds me of, when you have a family member who has an addiction issue or substance abuse issue, you have to tread that line between isolating them and also not enabling them. And that's why it's helpful to get an expert involved.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. I mean, for you all to be able to provide that for people, because I wouldn't have a clue of what to do, but I would love to have assistance with it.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that you hope, like for people who, because our hope is, like I said, to empower people, to let people know of, okay, these are some things that you can be on the, I mean, it's I'm sure a huge list of things to think about, but I mean, like, some options for you in the community, resources. Is there anything that you hope that they take away from this? Like, you're like, gosh, this would be so great if they knew about this, but maybe they didn't.
I think, like I said, the hotline, I think people think, oh, I'm calling the hotline. It's like, it has to be like I'm calling 911 or it's a crisis. It doesn't, Our hotline is, it's manned by advocates who are trained to talk about all sorts of things. They can help you with anything. If you need diapers, you can call our hotline and say, where can I get some help with diapers? It's for friends and family to call and just kind of talk about resources and have questions about, what you need help with regards to your family members. So that's what I want to kind of make sure that people out there know, is that, calling a hotline, whether it's ours or the national hotline, is really important so that you can educate yourself about this issue for your friends and family, or if you think you might be in a situation that's dangerous. Yeah. And then also, we have a lot going on this month for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So even if you don't have a friend or family member in this situation, you can be a community advocate, please be one.
It would be nice to see those people walking or supporting in any way.
Yeah. So. And the holidays are coming. Our organization and plenty of others are going to do like Adopt a Family. There's so many, like I said, there's so many kids that just would love a Christmas present this year. So consider that as well.
I love that. Like I said, I want people to walk away with it and be like, oh gosh, I'm so glad I learned about this, or I learned about the center here, so then they can go and just think about it if they need to, bookmark it in their heads. So that's all I'm hoping to have. So
it's such a tough issue. Yeah. In the past couple of days, I've had a lot of people say it's too tough to talk about. And that makes me want to not talk about it. But at the same time, I know if we don't, then we perpetuate it, right? Yeah. Then it continues to happen and the abusers win. So we have to, and I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, I think sharing this woman's story will be so helpful to people. But yeah, like to me, I'm just like, I don't know how you do it, how your team here does it, because that's a lot to handle. Like one thing that I was thinking about too, like, and I hate to, when I think about this woman, her name's Brandy, her story, a lot of these people, like she had been in abusive relationships throughout her whole life. So she'd enter a situation, she'd go back. I don't know if you see that here, but what is that like to witness that, to know that people may go back to those things and maybe they'll eventually, get out of them, but that's got to be something else to witness on your part.
That's really hard to see, of course. Yeah. But what's really hopeful for me is that, like I said, there's a kabillion children running around here like we've talked about. And what I know is that when we intercede, when the parent-child advocate gets involved, or they join a play group or our summer camp or do our trunk or treat, the chances of them becoming a victim of a perpetrator decrease exponentially. Good. So that's is the counterbalance, right? Yeah. And I know that, I know that personally and from years of experience, is that because we're here and we're involved in these children's lives, they may not become that victim that continues to go back.
That's good, because we were talking about that behind the scenes, like how sometimes these situations kind of perpetuate into other things, whether it's being in a similar situation or getting involved with crime, just all
substance
these layers.
Abuse. Yeah. Yes. So that's why,
nice,
crisis centers like this are so important, especially for the children, because, it's sort of a stopgap to, other forms of abuse in their later lives.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that wraps up my questions. Do you have anything else that you want to make sure I mention in here?
No, I guess, like I said, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, those kinds of things. Miss Kansas, the former Miss Kansas is speaking.
I know.
She's so good.
Gosh, so powerful. When she shared her story, I'm like, oh my gosh.
I know. Every time she speaks, she's a phenomenal speaker, and it's so hopeful. Like, right? Her experience is so hopeful. So.
Yeah.